Live from KSAT12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
A blood shortage so critical, University Hospital says it might have to cancel surgeries or divert new patients.
Donations typically dip during the holidays, but this year it is far worse than usual.
Courtney Friedman shares the story of a young boy with cancer, a prime example of a patient this shortage could affect.
9-year-old Reagan Lee was diagnosed with stage 4 neuroblastoma 2 days after the school year started.
Happy kid. He loves going to school. He didn't want to miss it, but this is one of those things that happen. So he's trying to fight through this now.
Reagan had a big surgery Monday where doctors removed his primary tumor.
Even though his blood counts were a little off or low, they still went with the surgery, but at the same time, they were prepared for that, so they were ready for the blood and platelets for him prior to going in because he was low.
Without the blood and platelets on standby, doctors would not have been able to operate on Reagan.
You can see this donated blood sits here in these bins, and those bins typically fill up this entire rack. So you can see it's pretty empty, showing the desperate need for blood donations.
We do have frequently patients that go through lots of blood. They go through hundreds of donors in just one patient. So if we were to have one of those patients that had an urgent need like that, we would wipe out our entire blood supply at this point.
Dr. Leslie Greben with University Hospital's Transfusion Center says tragedies that require that much blood can happen to anyone.
We are one of the level 1 trauma centers, and we're the only civilian one here. And so if something was to happen to your family members, this is the place that you would want to be, and we want to have all the resources to give you the ultimate care.
Luckily, Reagan's surgery was successful, and he hopes to leave the hospital tomorrow. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
If you are able to help, you can schedule a donation at University Hospital or South Texas Blood and Tissue Center. They're accepting all blood types, but they're always most in need of type O since it's universal.
By the way, January is National Blood Donor Month, and KSAT and our community partners teaming up to help University Hospital replenish the depleted blood supply. Our blood drive is happening the last week of the month from January 27th to the 31st, where you can donate blood without an appointment or calling ahead. You can find more details on this blood drive event at KSAT.com. We'll have more information as we get closer to that blood drive.
It is a mission aimed at preventing tragedy when guns get into the wrong hands. A gun lock giveaway drew quite a crowd at a Northside gun shop today. City council members teaming up with the Bexar County Sheriff's Office to make this possible 2 weeks after a 7-year-old boy on the Far East Side got his hands on a loaded gun and fatally shot himself. Devin Clark explains how community leaders feel today's efforts can prevent something like that from happening again.
These are preventable, foreseeable injuries and deaths.
District 8 Councilman Manny Pelayas and District 2 Councilwoman Jada Andrews Sullivan feel keeping guns out of untrained hands can be life-saving.
This is more about safety and awareness, more about situational awareness and how we can take proactive steps instead of reactive steps to gun safety.
Just 4 days before Christmas, San Antonio police say that a 7-year-old boy was found with what appears to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head after finding a loaded gun in the family's Far East Side home. His family says he loved boxing, calling the death a terrible accident.
How do we protect our families but also have the weapons that we need within the home?
Community leaders and the Bexar County Sheriff's Office pushing the ongoing safety initiative say the solution is free gun locks.
What we have in essence done is taken away the excuse from anybody from not storing their guns safely at home.
If you weren't able to make it out to today's event, do not worry because there are more giveaways. Just contact the Bexar County Sheriff's Office to find out how you can get some gun locks for free. Also, the council members who supported today's event will be having pop-up events like this throughout the year. For more information, just visit KSAT.com. Reporting on the North Side, Devin Clark, KSAT 12 News.
The American people should be extremely grateful and happy. No Americans were harmed in last night's attack by the Iranian regime. We suffered no casualties. All of our soldiers are safe, and only minimal damage was sustained at our military bases.
It looks like both the United States and Iran stepping back from the brink of war following Iran's assault on 2 bases in Iraq that housed United States military men and women yesterday. Donald Trump speaking this morning from the White House saying there were no casualties in the missile assault, just moderate damage to equipment. The attack, a so-called revenge operation carried out less than 24 hours ago in response to the United States targeting a powerful Iranian general. Yesterday's assault, feared by many as an escalation in tensions between the two countries that could lead to an all-out war. And while it appears that things have de-escalated for now, President Trump did announce new sanctions against Iran during this morning's address.
Tensions in the Middle East are unsettling for many Americans, and for veterans, those concerns are often amplified. That's what Paul Venema learned when he visited a local veterans treatment court, where reactions to last night's airstrikes are being closely monitored.
This bombing attack that took out a top Iranian terrorist set in motion a series of threats and counter-threats between Iran and the United States.
Just have a concern of whether the recent events might trigger for them some of their PTSD issues.
Judge Jefferson Moore is talking about veterans who are taking part in a program to deal with their legal issues that often include psychological concerns and substance abuse. He's one of 3 judges presiding over veterans treatment courts here.
Sometimes when people get their anxiety going, they will self-medicate, as we call it now, where it could end up using alcohol or, hopefully not, but illegal drugs as well.
Moore says in view of the Middle East situation, they're paying close attention to program participants.
Some of the ones a little more fragile, perhaps, just to be sure that the recent events aren't causing them to have any issues.
The program includes case managers, probation officers, and mentors available to help with those issues.
We always have availability to them, phone numbers, emails, and whatnot, for them to be able to reach out to us so that we can help them.
The Veterans Courts are held here every Thursday. After tomorrow's session, Judge Moore said he'll have a clearer picture on what effect this latest crisis is having on the program participants. Paul Venema, KSAT12 News.
After the attack on U.S. troops in Iraq, Mayor Ron Nirenberg addressing security concerns locally. As Stephanie Cerner reports, the mayor says there are no specific threats, but the city remains on high alert.
The city of San Antonio has increased our cyber status to high.
As far as cybersecurity, Mayor Ron Nirenberg today says there is no abnormal activity to report, but they are constantly monitoring their systems.
We do know there's an open threat of a cyber attack from Iran due to the geopolitical events, but as always, we're remaining vigilant and we are using every resource at our disposal to keep our employees, our networks, our residents, and our communities safe. This is a 24/7 activity throughout the year for the city of San Antonio, even when there wasn't additional state threats that we're seeing now. And we have monitored activity. We see threats come and go.
The mayor says many places of worship around San Antonio have already increased security on their campuses.
We know that given these times, there is a heightened level of concern. So there have been stepped up security in many places of worship. And then the communication with SAPD remains constant as well.
And while there has been no specific threat at any campus, the mayor says they are encouraging people, if they see something, to say something to stay ahead of any threats. Stephanie Cerna, KSAT12 News.
San Antonio police still searching for a pair of suspects they say are responsible for a shooting on the northwest side that put 2 people in the hospital. We first told you about this story last night on the Night Beat. This happened in the 4000 block of Sherrill Brook Road, just off Bandera Road. According to police, 2 men were sitting outside of an apartment when they got into a dispute with a couple of other guys. Then shots were fired. Officers tell us the 2 victims were taken to the hospital and are expected to recover.
The firefighters at the Toyota plant south of the city taking over the investigation after smoke caused a scare at the Tundra making facility this morning. Fire crews responded to the plant a little after 7:30 after workers saw smoke. We're told it was coming from a supplier's building, not the main building. Fire crews checked it out, but say there was no fire, just smoke coming from the equipment. What was causing that smoke, not yet known. No word on how much damage was done, but no injuries were reported.
Time saver traffic now. Let's take a look at the TransGuide camera here at I-35 in Randolph. Looking north, you can see that it's very slow going, especially as drivers try to get onto the highway here at I-35. We don't have any real specific reason as to why, but things definitely congested, crowded, and slow at I-35 in Randolph.
Live cam outside right now, 68 degrees. It was a nice day, but there were some. Even these don't look like the normal clouds we see. in the sky.
Now, we had a unique phenomenon today, which we do see from time to time, but some undulatus clouds up above us. And I'll talk a little bit more about that throughout the 6 o'clock hour and 6 o'clock newscast here. Let's take a look at the current reading outside right now. We're at 68 degrees. We did make it into the low 70s today. Right now, 68, a dew point of 47. That's actually a pretty big difference. The humidity is on the rise, and you'll notice it as we get into tomorrow. For the rest of the evening, no big temperature drop. We'll just get down to 62 at 8 p.m. and by 10 p.m., right around 60 degrees and upper 50s by early tomorrow morning. Quick look at the aquifer. It's down 0.3 of a foot today, so we're about 1.7 feet above the January average. Mountain Cedar, not as high, but still in the high category at 7,800 and mold moderate. We'll talk about storm chances as well coming up, Steve.